Welcome to Lancashire Fire and Rescue Services podcast series, Out of the Ashes, Stories from Lancashire. Today's episode is focusing on men's mental health ahead of International Men's Days 2023. This day is all about making a positive difference to the well-being and lives of men and boys. November is also known as Movember, and this campaign raises money and awareness to support men's mental health. Today I will be speaking with Station Manager James Crouan, Firefighters Fernandez and Davey Byers, and our Safety, Health and Wellbeing Advisor Bekki Ford, who will be sharing their personal experiences and stories to help reduce stigma and help others understand their experiences better. Today we are simply providing advice and tips that have helped our individuals. We are not medical experts. There will be links in the episode description below to relevant services and support systems if any of these subjects have been distressing to you. Thank you all for taking the time today to share your stories. Shall we start on what stigmas do you find around men's mental health?
Well, I think probably the ultimate thing is that blokes are really notoriously bad at actually communicating about their feelings.
Particularly when you talk about men's mental health, there is still something of a stigma there. I think some people still sort of get particularly embarrassed about it if they're talking about their own experiences. I think people feel that they're going to be judged or that it's some sort of sign of weakness. We wouldn't for 1 minute think about telling somebody with a broken leg to get up and run it off. Yet we seem to tell people that are struggling with their mental and emotional well-being to just kind of get on with it, or we perhaps put that pressure on ourselves. And that's why I think it's so important that we do destigmatise men's mental health and open up that conversation.
I also think it comes down to sort of historical reference, doesn't it? So men have always been the ones going out working, breadwinning, bringing the money home. I think it comes from this like de-evolved society that we've evolved from now, where it's more equal. Like we should be talking about these things. We're in these tough positions, particularly in our line of work, where we're coming into situations where it is going to affect us mentally. And
Blokes are getting better at it, I think, and particularly in the environment that we work in. As a responder, as being part of a group of people who work very closely with each other. I mean, we spend as much time together as we do with our own families a lot of the time.
Did either of you suffer with stigma and opening up when you were first struggling with your mental health?
For me personally, when I first started to really struggle, probably middle of summer 2022, I was new into my current station manager role at the time, so I perhaps didn't have those kind of close working relationships with my staff at that point. And also you're very conscious of the fact that when you're a station manager and you're the person on station who is at the top of that kind of organisational structure, that a lot of the time you're there to soak up other people's problems and to help other people sort out some of their personal issues. So you don't necessarily get the opportunity to be able to reverse that situation. So for me, I probably did struggle initially, but then when the wheels really sort of fell off for me, which was around about kind of March, April this year, I had a lot of very, very good people around me, and I am somebody who a lot of people would say is sort of like a bit of an oversharer, so I find it quite easy to talk about my experiences, and even more so since some of the difficulties that I've been through this year.
I personally, I was in a position previously where I was a manager of a service, and again, you feel like you have to stay in control, you have to be the strong person all the time. You know, we use this saying man up all the time, don't we? And although it's not a completely negative thing to say, it almost puts that stigma onto you that you have to be a man and just get on with it. And it builds up over time, doesn't it? And I'm fortunate in this line of work now that I've got a good team around me. My mental health is being sort of contained and managed by myself and sort of good peers around me that support me all the time.
Yeah. Was your mental health work related? Was it?
So mine personally was exacerbated by work, but it's more of a personal thing. So my major struggle is with obsessive compulsive disorder, which leads to sort of anxiety. But mine's a personal struggle rather than a specific work struggle. I struggle with my mind needing to have levels of control and structure and organisation within it. So That is exacerbated by work because these things are taken away from you and you can't always control those things. But yeah, work wasn't a great sort of advocate for my mental health at one point.
I've been in the fire service quite a while now. I started in the retained, or it's now called the on-call now. When I was 19, 20 years old, there have been times like where I've been going to jobs and dealing with what we've been dealing with, and I've been coming back and there'd been nobody to talk to, there'd been no support services, nothing like it is today.
Yeah.
And I just accepted it that was the norm. That's how it was. If you wanted to be in this job and do that thing that you love, that's how you had to feel.
And for myself, it was probably the other way around. Initially, it was work-related stress.
Right.
I have suffered with complex post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay.
There was one particular incident that was kind of the trigger point for that. And whilst it was a really unpleasant incident, it wasn't probably the worst incident that I've ever been to. But what that did was that probably put me in a position where I had to start to deal with some of the other incidents that I've dealt with over the years. Spent a lot of time on the urban search and rescue team, a lot of things that I've been exposed to that I probably thought I had packed away properly and dealt with, but it became apparent after that one particular incident that no, I hadn't. Now, on the flip side for me, that then started to impact my personal life. It started to really affect relationships at home. It put a lot of strain on my marriage and on my family, and it kind of snowballed from there, really.
Thank you very much for opening up there, guys. That's really important to share how you were struggling, because like you say, men don't open up and they don't speak about it. It's a very private thing, and I think opening up on your own struggles allows other people to realise that it's comfortable and normal too. What did you find helped when you were struggling?
It's talking, but it's finding the right person to talk to. Somebody that will listen to you, that doesn't judge you, that's able to support you. And I think really when you talk about friendship, and particularly as a bloke, your friends are people that not just you could go for a pint with or have a round of golf with, but people that you could honestly sort of ring up or rely on to support you in your hour of need, rather than not knowing what to do or just turning their back on you or being the withering violet or saying, oh, sorry mate, I didn't pick your call up, or somebody that's actually going to be prepared to almost get their hands dirty and get stuck in, because
be prepared to actually listen and take on the information.
I think when blokes put their hand up, particularly, have reached that point in time and they put their hand up for help, they really are, in a position where they need some assistance, rather than like a midway point. And sometimes, you can't spot signs with people that are struggling. All of a sudden, it just happens.
I think for myself, as I mentioned before, I initially started to have difficulties around about sort of the middle of summer 2022, and I had a really poor experience with the level of help that I tried to access at that time, and foolishly really just kind of came away from that and thought, you know what, forget it, I'll deal with this by myself. And hence I was sort of 7, 8, 9 months down the line from that, when everything reached sort of like a point where it was boiling over. I think for me it kind of really highlights the point of actually making sure that you do access the right help at the right time. The longer you leave these things, the harder they will bite you when they get out, and they will eventually get out and catch up with you.
Yeah, it all eventually piles up, doesn't it? And it, like a pan, it boils over.
Yeah, I had exactly the same experience. So I was dealing with it on my own, trying to manage it, keeping it to myself, not talking to my partner, not talking to my children, withdrawing myself. And at that point, my next protocol was to think, right, it's a problem, I'll just fix it, I'll go to the doctors, just maybe get some medication, get some sort of quick fix to it. And that's not really the answer, is it? So luckily I went to a good doctor who sort of signposted me to the right areas, so I ended up getting in touch with sort of services out there, looking at doing CBT, looking at doing some counselling, and I actually got the help I needed by speaking out. But until that point, I'd literally just tried to deal with it myself, and it wasn't helping at all.
No, no, I think with everything that you said there, it does just kind of build up and build up, because the longer you try and deal with something by yourself, the more you're actually adding an additional layer of stress to everything else that is already causing you distress in the first instance. I think going back to your original question about what helped, for me, one of the things was a very specific level of treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a very specific therapy that you have to go through. It's called the MDR therapy, and I went through several weeks of that, as well as a lot of talking therapies, a combination of that, medication, which took, as you quite rightly pointed out there, it isn't a quick fix, medication. A lot of the time it makes you feel worse before you start to feel better, and that can be a really tough process to go through. But I think the big things for me were the people that were around me.
A good support system.
Yeah, there was 3 colleagues in particular of mine who, I'm not going to mention by name because I don't want to embarrass them, but they were virtually working shifts with me. I was talking to at least one of them every single day for probably about 2.5 months when things were at their worst. And just having that regular level of contact, and there were times that I'd be on the phone to colleagues at sort of 10:30, 11 o'clock at night because I'd be having an absolutely horrific anxiety attack, and I needed somebody to be able to kind of talk me down from that. But I think there was a lot of hard-won lessons for me during what I've been through during the early part of this year. But I think one of them that's come out of that is that there is help out there, particularly with our support network that we've got with colleagues within the service. We're all people who join this job because we like to help people. A lot of the time, if you feel like you're on your own, you're probably not, but you do need to be able to reach out and say, I need some help, because people aren't mind readers.
And that's the hardest bit, isn't it? Accepting that you need some support and that it's okay to ask for help. And like you say, there will be those colleagues who will listen. They will spend time with you to check that you're okay. The same way with your family, everybody wants you to be the best version of you. And it's okay to not be okay all the time.
Because it's becoming normal, and it should be. Because we all need to just, offload every now and again. We're only human, aren't we?
And the thing about that is, as soon as you do that, you realise how supportive people are and how much they go, I didn't know you were struggling with that. Like, I wish I'd have known sooner. And actually, the hardest step is admitting to it, but actually it's so much easier from that point because people go, I didn't know. Like, what can I do? How can I help? And the help is there. I mean, previous to this job, I worked in the mental health sector. I was lucky enough to see all the facilities that are out there. So your local councils will have sort of crisis management teams, will have mental health teams with duty officers on support. There are facilities out there. There's self-referral, like mine do self-referral. There's loads of different things out there as well. If you're not wanting to speak to the people closest to you, that you can still speak to people outside that as well. But as soon as you speak, the help will just fall into place. It seems to just appear, doesn't it? I don't know if that's your experience.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the time that help comes from places that you would have least expected it as well. Yeah. Because as soon as people find out, as you say, that you are struggling, you get other people that have been through similar experiences, or people who just want to help and want to support you, who reach out to you, and they'll make that call and say, do you want to go for a coffee? Do you want to go for a walk?
And some of the best conversations that I've ever had have been round the brew table. Sitting down, having a cup of tea, generally a packet of biscuits does it. Blokes are all the same when it comes to food. They tend to open up quite a bit. You all sit down maybe and have a team tea. It's just really good to get conversations going.
I think it was quite humbling for me, really, to see just how good that level of help is that's out there. And it's certainly given me something to hopefully take forward and make me better equipped to be able to empathise with other people and support other people when they need it.
Yeah, and I think you hit it nail on the head there. It's empathy that you get as well. I found I got a lot of empathy rather than sympathy. I didn't want sympathy. I didn't want to speak out and feel like a victim of myself or a victim of my circumstances. I just wanted someone to listen and someone to be empathetic with me and understand and be supportive. It was, and that's exactly what I got. I wasn't looking for sympathy and all poor me.
No.
I just wanted someone to kind of hear me and help me, let me speak out, really.
And I think that links back into what we started talking about right at the beginning of this, with the stigmas that are attached to mental health. Because, as you say, you don't want that sympathy. You don't want people thinking that person's weak, they're not able to do their job anymore, are they cut out for this? You want somebody to understand and appreciate that your brain just happens to work a little bit differently to other people's. And for people to understand that and to help you put in place the things that you need to put in place to get you back to, as you said, Lucinda, being the best version of you that you can be.
The ability to talk is a really brave thing to do.
It is. It's a brave thing to do and a hard thing to do, but it's normal to speak out, ask for help, and just accept that that's okay.
Yeah, and it is okay to not be okay.
So, building on from that conversation, how would you want to be approached by someone, or how would you tell someone to approach someone who you think is struggling? Because I know that people can get quite defensive on how you ask, and I know sometimes being asked, how are you? You're just going to go, I'm fine. And you don't want to be approached in that way. Would there be any advice you'd give to other people?
It really depends on the person and how well you know that person. I work with quite a large group of people, and we spend a lot of time together, so it's easier for me to sort of spot changes in their demeanour and how they are. But in general terms, you just need to just pick a moment where you're on your own with that person and you're unlikely to get any distractions, really, because if you kind of speak to somebody and they are going to confide in you and open up, it's a very, very powerful and personal thing sometimes. The last thing you want is the phone ringing or the station turnout going, and then you've got to get on the fire engine and go and, and deal with whatever you're dealing with. So, ideally, if you're out of work, or if you spot some changes in somebody, you can say, do you fancy going for a coffee? First day off or something like that, or, we'll go for a walk. And when you say, are you okay, to somebody, and we do it all the time, don't we? We've probably done it about umpteen times today, haven't we? Ask it twice.
Yeah.
Ask them if they're okay and do it twice. Because the first time it's just an automated response from everybody saying, yeah, I'm fine, yeah. But then when you ask, are you okay, the second time, it just gives that person an opportunity to just open that door a little bit and just let them know how you're really feeling.
I'm okay with being asked, am I okay? That's a check-in for me. I'm fine. And now I've got to the point where I'll say, no, I'm not fine. But most people will say they're fine. So it's quite a difficult question because people are going to react differently. For checking in on people, I think just having that conversation, you okay? Do you need anything? And letting the answer come. And if it's not coming, then try and notice if the answer's different or if the behaviour's different. We talk about how do you know when somebody's not doing very well. Well, somebody could be really quiet, somebody could be the other way. You could go from mania to sort of depression in no time at all, or live on one of the sides of that spectrum. For me, it's just that, you okay? Do you need anything? Yeah. No, I'm okay, but you may have different experiences.
No, I wouldn't disagree with anything that you've said there. I think picking your moment is definitely one of the best things to do. Set the scene. If you're pretty confident that one of your colleagues or one of your members of staff or whoever it is having difficulties, ask them that question at a point in time where you've got the time to actually talk, you've got the privacy to talk. Ask them if they're okay, but ask them twice, because as you quite rightly said, you say, you're all right, you don't really see yourself. No, I'm fine. Yeah. It's kind of the stock answer, isn't it? Revisit it, just say, are you sure you're okay? Because I've noticed that it might be, as you say, it might be you just seem a bit down today, you don't seem your normal self, you seem a little bit quiet. Accept that you might not necessarily get the answer and the outpouring of emotion from somebody right away on that first occasion as well. You can always use that as an opportunity to say, well, if there is anything that you want to talk about, you know where I am, give me a shout, drop me a text, give me a call.
Offer that support system to know that you're there.
And then maybe just revisit it again the following day. There might just be somebody who's having an off day, but if they're having 2 off days, 3 off days, 4 off days, none of us are happy and skipping and joyous the entire time. You know, we're all allowed to have an off day, but it's when every day is becoming an off day. That's when we need to have a little bit of a level of concern for people, and that's when we need to check in and check in again. You know, I think one of the worst things that anybody can do is give sort of a disingenuous offer of help. You know, to say, oh, I'm always here for you, I'm always here to listen to you, and then not to actually come through with it, that can be incredibly damaging to that person. So don't make any promises that you can't keep. But if you're genuinely serious about giving people a level of support and care and looking after them, just check in again, and let that person lead it. You know, they'll see from your consistency that you are actually genuinely interested in giving them that level of help and support that they need.
Yeah, it's like active listening. So not just saying, you're okay, and then switching off while you do another task. If you're asking someone if they're okay, if they're going to start talking to you, like, actively listen, sit there, be in the conversation, let them speak to you, but then, as you said, let them know that you're there and you're going to do something about it if you can, or you can do. You might not be able to fix it, but that may be the first step towards signposting, or just, you might just need that chat. It's just opening that gateway, isn't it? But like I said, active listening, being there. Yeah, I like the double checking.
So I'm speaking to Bekki. Do you want to touch upon what support is out there for individuals that may be struggling?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't want to overwhelm people with information, and I know you'll be including it in the notes after the episode's aired. But just a few that I think will be really useful for people are the Movember website, which is uk.movember.com. And if they just click on the Men's Health tab for that, it will give them links to information about spotting the signs of people struggling, how to have a difficult conversation, but also about suicide prevention and sort of men's health in general, like prostate cancer and testicular cancer. So that's a really good one. For anyone that's in crisis, sort of an immediate wanting some support, text SHOUT to 85258, then they will get immediate support in the hour of need. And then just another one that is very general and really good for wherever you are in the UK is the Hub of Hope, and that's Hub of Hope.
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
All one word, hubofhope.co.uk. It's a mental health database that provides postcode search function. So wherever you are, you can find out the support that's available for you and access it that way.
That's amazing. Specifically in our service, do you want to just touch upon what services we have so people may recognise them in their own organisations?
Yeah, sure. I mean, within Lancashire, we've got a range of health and wellbeing resources, things like the Employee Assistance Programme, which provides short-term solution-focused counselling, as well as advice, legal advice and medical advice. We've got Occupational Health Unit, we've got a range of peer supporters, wellbeing support dogs, which are very popular, this isn't unique to Lancashire Fire and Rescue. You know, there will be things like that in other organisations, so it might be worth people just checking in with their employer to see what they offer. Also, if you're a serving or retired fire service personnel, that's operational or non-operational, the Firefighters charity is there to support you. Their general sort of support line is can be found on the firefighters.charity.co.uk, but they've also just launched a crisis line which supports fire service personnel, either serving or retired, if they're experiencing thoughts of suicide, and that crisis line number is 0300 373 0896.
What is the one thing you'd want the listeners to take away from today?
I suppose the simple message is that it's okay to talk, it's good to talk, and that even if you don't think you can find the fix or the resolution, there is things out there to guide you to the right way, so there is help out there. So yeah,
don't be afraid to reach out when you're struggling. You know, people do struggle, and they struggle all the time. Life's a struggle, isn't it? You know, and sometimes home life spills over into work life and vice versa as well. But just don't be afraid to put your hands up.
Don't just, if you feel that you're struggling, if you feel that it might be something that you need help with, don't, whatever you do, sort of kick it down the road and think it'll be all right. I'll feel all right next month. I'll feel all right by the time I go on holiday. I'll feel all right by the time it's Christmas. Because chances are you won't. Get that early intervention in, seek the right level, definitely tackle it early. Don't think that if I just put a lid on this, it'll be all right.
I also think that you're not alone with it. You when you're going through this, you feel like, oh, it's me, something wrong with me, and you're not. You suddenly realise that nearly everyone around is going through something as well. So you're own. You're not an individual who's going to have to struggle. And as soon as you talk and speak up, you realise that.
Yeah, I think probably one of the other things as well is just following on from what you've said there. I know that for me, when I came back into the workplace, and I know we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, I felt that as somebody in middle management in this organisation, I really had a responsibility to demonstrate to other people that it is okay to talk about it. It is okay to be open and you know, be that open book about your experiences. And that's certainly what I've tried to do since I came back into the workplace. And it's remarkable the number of other people that as soon as they hear you talking about your own mental health issues will turn and say, do you know what, me too, mental health issues. And probably lastly, the one piece of advice that I'd give is treat your mental health in exactly the same way as you treat your physical health.
Yeah, that's really important.
We treat our physical health in such a way that we think, right, we know what's good for us, we know what's bad for us, we know that eating the right food is good for us, we know that getting good sleep is good for us, we know that getting exercise regularly is good for us. A lot of those things kind of translate across to your own mental health anyway, just naturally, but also, you know, look at what we do in this organisation. Anybody who's operational goes and has a routine medical where we check up and make sure that everything is functioning the way that it should be. Work into your schedule to do the same sort of check and balance of your own mental health and well-being, because that's really, really easy to neglect. And I think sometimes just saying, right, do you know what, on such and such a day, I'm going to stop, I'm going to take stock a little bit, and I'm going to see, am I doing the things that I know that I need to do to keep myself in a good place?
Yeah.
Am I behaving in a way that should be setting a few alarm bells ringing to me to think, do you know what, you're starting to struggle and slip a little bit here again now.
Do you have any advice, one tip for staying mentally well?
Yeah. Find a bit of time for something that you really, really like to do. Because, like I say, we're all really busy people, aren't we? But if you can just, like, find something that you like to do, or reconnect with something that you liked to do. Like for me recently, I've gone back to taking pictures, or like going out for a walk, or just on my bike or something. But just make that little bit of time. It doesn't have to be like all day. Just even half an hour or an hour. You do anything, you know, like doing a crossword.
Thank you for taking the time to share your story today. I think it's been a really positive conversation, and I think it will help a lot of people out there.
No, thank you very much for having us. It's been a good thing to be part of.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the links that have been discussed in today's episode will be found in the episode notes on whichever streaming platform you find yourself listening to us on. And remember, if you liked our episode, please like and subscribe, and let's make Lancashire safer together.